Hi everybody, how are you? Let me know when you have arrived. Just give me a like or a comment. And we are going to talk about the practice of feminine energy today and pussy power. I'm super stoked. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started with a minute of meditation. So if you just want to sit up straight wherever you are. All right. Okay, so go ahead and sit up straight. Relax your shoulders. Relax your forehead. Relax your eyes. Relax your tongue. Release it from the roof of your mouth. And take a deep breath all the way into your belly. And release. Another deep breath all the way into your belly. And release. And if you're sitting in a chair, put your feet firmly planted on the ground, or you can sit with your legs crossed if you're sitting on the ground. Palms up or palms down on your thighs. So the overall posture is just that you're sitting with your back straight, your face relaxed, eyes relaxed, mouth relaxed. And I want you to lean back a little bit in your seat. Just lean back and take a deep breath all the way into your belly and release. And now we're going to try something a little bit different for pussy power. I want you to take a deep breath through your vagina and release. And throw your shoulders back and open your heart and picture it like a flower opening to the sun. And take another deep breath through your vagina and release. And one more deep breath through your vagina and release. And come back whenever you're ready. And tell me how weird that was for you or how nice it was. So what I've been really enjoying lately is having people breathe through their vagina and see the total difference that happens. It's totally shocking and kind of funny sometimes, but it is a huge difference. And we're going to be talking about the use of that today. I wanted to talk about feminine energy principles because I have been noticing in myself, I talked about, this big transition that's happened in my life and over the past 2 months since it occurred. So you all know that my husband and I separated and are getting a divorce. And what happened was I started to realize, yes, Megan, I had a feeling that you would love it. And hi, Mariah. Hi, Melody. I see you guys. Okay. Yes, it's so expansive, isn't it? What's so cool is that when you do it, yes. Oh, I'm so glad. Yes. Yeah. When you do it, like, I can't wait for a moment because we'll do our group coaching call soon and you all will be able to see each other take that deep breath through your vagina. And it is like crazy how your whole posture changes. It's like amazing. So what I've been noticing in myself is that, hi, Eileen, yay! We got a party. What I've been noticing in myself is that I had really developed this kind of masculine energy during the past, 5 or 7 years. And so I wanted to talk about, and now I've been really moving into this feminine energy space, and it is what I'm noticing is what I practice it is. So I started to research feminine energy principles in 2016. So I've been reading and researching these for 4 years and been practicing them on and off, but I've been really diligently practicing them for the past 2 months. And it's so different from how I have been conditioned as a powerful adult woman to live my life, and somebody who identifies as a feminine energy person. So we're going to talk about what this means, because it's not about gender at all. It's actually it's just about energy and how, certain postures that you're going to take into the world and certain behaviors that you will take on. So let's get right into it. So some of us are conditioned into like a masculine energy state when we're really young, because we're complimented constantly for our intelligence and what we do, but we're not complimented for who we're being or for our emotions. So we don't get, in fact, our emotions are often shamed, and the feminine state is to be in your emotions and to be feeling things. But often, tell me in the comments, when you were growing up, when you showed emotion, what happened when you showed emotion? So for me, it was like, we're not going to talk until you're finished crying, or like, stop being so sensitive, or why are you so upset right now? Or don't cry, right? Just like, don't cry. And so if you felt fear, or if you're feeling fear, maybe you were around people who didn't know how to handle your fear when you're a child. So just talk to me about like how you were, what you learned about having emotions when you were a child. So for me, what's happening is that this has been such a practice for me to stay here, is that I really wanted to pass on like the different practices and also the different conceptual frameworks so that you can understand. And this is just a conceptual framework. It's not something that you have to take unless you like it. So for some of you, it might not resonate, but for some of you, you might be like, oh my God, this explains so much. And that's how it felt for me. So yes, Megan was asked to stop that when she was feeling things. Yeah, a lot of us were asked to just like, if you could just not feel those, yes, get them under control. And that the whole thing about the feminine energy is that the feminine energy embraces chaos, right? The feminine energy doesn't have emotions under control, embraces kind of chaos, can have these kind of outbursts, but can come back to peace and presence, right? I was never shamed by my parents for crying, but anger was not acceptable. Yes, it's so common, Melody, and for all of us to not be allowed to feel anger. And hi, Julie. Oh my gosh, it's totally okay. Come in. I'm so glad you're here. So yes, anger was like, is for many of us, it's considered like not sexy to be angry, and like not attractive, or that you're not spiritual if you're angry, right? So there's a lot of messaging around anger and how we're not allowed to feel it. So the masculine and feminine energy, like I said, it's a conceptual framework. You can take it or leave it. But I just believe you should have it so that you know about it, and so you can use it if you want it. So we all have both masculine and feminine energy, right? We have both. The masculine energy majors in masculinity and minors in femininity. This is how Marianne Williamson puts it, and I love it. The feminine energy majors in feminine energy and minors in masculine energy. So we all have both. It's just that, most of us have, or many of us have, one that's more prominent than the other. And I just want to stop and say, yes, anger, unladylike, and Mariah, told to stop and triggered anger in my mom when we cried. Yes. Mm-hmm. And I will say also, so, y'all know I have a toddler. I have had to notice that when he was crying, I would get uncomfortable if I wasn't crying my own tears. So I would really want him to stop crying really fast if I wasn't feeling my own feelings. And so I've started to, like, when he's crying and I get uncomfortable with that, I start to look, wait a minute, I'm uncomfortable. He's allowed to cry all he wants. It's just that I have tears to cry clearly, right? So it's so interesting to notice our own triggers too. Okay, so the other thing is masculine energy is not about gender. So you can be a feminine energy man, a masculine energy woman. You can be a feminine energy trans person. You can be a masculine energy trans person. It's just about energy, and it's about dynamic with other people, right? The masculine energy, and this is the part where y'all might want to, lock this in, okay? The masculine energy thinks, does, gives, chases, manages, and social directs. I'm going to say that again because I'm going to kind of frame the two energies. The masculine energy thinks, gives, chases, manages, and social directs. Okay? The feminine energy does like the other things. Feels, receives, relaxes, leans back, and surrenders control while having great boundaries. Okay, so can say, no, I don't like that, I don't want that, right? So you can see like masculine energy thinks, feminine energy feels. Masculine energy does, feminine energy relaxes. Masculine energy gives, feminine energy receives. Masculine energy chases, feminine energy leans back. Masculine energy manages, feminine energy releases or surrenders control, but also can say no. So has those great boundaries. So let me know if you have questions so far, and let me know which one of those feels like who you want or who you naturally are. Like who you naturally are, not who you're being right now. So for me, I found myself completely in masculine energy. Thinking, doing, giving, chasing, this was showing up across the board. It was showing up in my relationship. It was showing up in my business, hardcore in my business, in my money, everything. I was just constantly doing, chasing, making it happen, strategizing, directing. And it was exhausting me, and I wasn't really getting the results because it wasn't like the natural place that I wanted to be. Or that felt, and it was ironic because so much of what I actually teach is about his feminine energy principle, right? So feeling your feelings, experiencing grief, allowing. So let me know if you have questions and which one of those sounds like who you naturally are. And then where do you primarily find yourself of those energies? So most of us are conditioned to be masculine. It's almost like we're all conditioned to be masculine energy, especially in the business world, especially for entrepreneurs. It's just like that's the one that's celebrated, is this masculine energy. And I wanted to put something else to you all that I think will be helpful. I just wanted to see if there's a comment that I missed. For some reason, Eileen, this didn't show up. Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, Eileen. So Eileen, do you identify as masculine energy? Is that who you feel like you naturally are? Yes. Okay. Or do you find yourself there? I just want to clarify. Megan, most comfortable naturally in feminine. Kelly, raised and conditioned to carry masculine energy, but have been moving into my feminine in the past series. Yeah, Kelly, you have a beautiful feminine energy. I've noticed that about you. Yes, I would love that clarification from Eileen about whether it's like, that you feel, because I have, there are lots of women who feel like, actually, I want to be in my masculine energy more. Yeah, find yourself there. Got it. Okay, Julie, is surrendering control the same as being submissive? No. In fact, like the feminine energy is super powerful. So I'm going to get into that in a minute, but for now, let me just say, it's not the same thing as being submissive. It's actually very wild and free, and remember, strong boundaries. But I'll get into that more specifically in a moment. Yeah, yes, Eileen. Yes, well, we all have both. The thing a good question to ask yourself is, where do you go when you're in fear? Which energy do you go to when you're in fear? And for me, I go into masculine energy when I'm in fear, or when I'm trying to prove it, or when I'm trying to sound a certain way, right? And that tells me that masculine energy isn't my natural state. It's my feminine energy is my natural state. Okay. Mariah, innately feminine past 10 years was driven to masculine due to relationship. It's been balancing out over the past couple of years. Yes. Okay. Kelly, I think I am naturally feminine, but was shaped to be masculine and rewarded for intelligence and accomplishments. Yes, amen. We are, aren't we? Like, why isn't there an award for our emotions? I want to see like the high school award for best emotional feminine energy state person. Okay, I go into masculine when trying to solve it. Yes, Melody, I guess I have more feminine energy. I've always been a free spirit at core and anti-authoritarian. Oh yeah, me too. Ooh, yeah. Okay, there was something I wanted to say to you guys. What was it? It'll come back to me. Okay, so let's keep rocking. This is so good. So I want to talk to you about codependency for a second, because we talk about that here. And the way that codependency shows up is that, so remember, when we're in codependency, which is like we're trying to fix people, we're trying to manage other people's emotions, we're taking over responsibility for other people's experience in life. Sometimes it's with somebody who's an addict, where we hide things for them, where we make up excuses for them, and we keep thinking that it's our job to save them. Sometimes it's just the way that we are and the way that we're showing up. So codependency is coming from it's like a toxic, overdriven masculine place. So the masculine is not toxic at all, but codependency is like from an overdriven masculine place. Does that make sense? So fixing, chasing, checking on, over-checking on, taking responsibilities, that is the opposite of the feminine energy, which is leaning back, feeling, not controlling, just allowing. But not allowing things you don't accept, right? So you can have a strong no. That's a big part of the feminine energy, is like no, right? Like, that's not okay with me. Okay. Yes, Mariah, masculine when in fear. Same here. Melody, I guess I have more feminine energy. I've always been, we went over that. Super feminine, Julie, but always feeling too much, but trying to be in my power to go toward the masculine. Okay, well, your power is in the feminine. It is. It's about harnessing the feelings, harnessing the emotions. And we have those tools, in She Profits, the Expand Beyond Fear exercise, the Free the Past exercise, and the Deprogram Yourself exercise. So all three of those really help the feminine energy harness emotions for power, for positive power. Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to talk, so I feel like you all get the framework of it. Do you have any more questions about the framework of masculine, feminine energy? Because then I want to talk about tools to kind of help you be in feminine energy. Yeah, so feminine energy is so powerful. And that's kind of what I want to get at, because my business was suffering, my life was suffering, my relationships were suffering a lot. Like, my being in that masculine energy, because it wasn't authentic to me, was really causing things, it wasn't authentic. Even, my branding. I'm about to do a big brand. I'm like telling you guys everything right now, but like I'm about to do a big branding shift, and that's coming from the place of, now I can be now I can be my true feminine energy, right? So you end up kind of, once you give yourself that permission and reframe so much of what has been framed for us and conditioned in us as weakness, and reframe it into strength, then you can really change your life, right? So much of the feminine energy has been framed as weakness, and which we have to reclaim it as strength. So feeling the emotions, relaxing, leaning back, allowing, having strong saying no, like all those. Yes. Okay, great, Julie. Trying with all that. That's amazing. Okay, so let's talk about tools and practices. So the first tool that I want you to have is to practice changing your language. And I've been practicing this, I will say, like in like text exchanges, in emails, you might notice it. It's the last place it's going to come for me is when things come out of my mouth. But one is to say I feel instead of I think. So if you want to practice being in feminine energy, saying I feel instead of I think. Today felt good. Today felt energizing. I feel sad. See how that's powerful to be like, I feel sad. So I actually want you to share with me, right now, just like get present to like what you're feeling and share with us. Say like, I feel, and then say how you feel. And it might be like more than one thing. Oh. So the feminine says, I feel. Remember, the masculine talks about thinking. And we both have both, so it's not like we don't think. We just, are majoring in feeling. And we're majoring in tuning in to what we're feeling and noticing what we're feeling. And then the feminine says, I don't want. The masculine says, I want. I want. Now, that doesn't mean you can't desire. Like, I make my decisions based on desire, right? So desire is hot. And including in business, right? Including in entrepreneurship and in every part of life, desire. But instead of, in the dynamic, especially in your dynamic with a masculine energy person in your life, going into I don't want rather than I want. The masculine says I want. The feminine says, and then he says I want, or she says I want. How do you feel about that? And the feminine says I don't want that, right? Okay. So y'all are getting quiet, so I just want to make sure that you're checking in with your feelings. Okay. So then the feminine asks the masculine, if you want to transform your relationship with masculine energy people, because this is like a big thing, right? Like we're like in our relationships. I know for me, I have a tendency to emasculate or generally make people not feel as powerful when I'm in my masculine energy. And so what you can do is say, what do you think? What do you think to people? Okay, so let's go back to these feelings and like allowing yourself to feel. This is one of the main tools. So first is language, changing your language to I feel, like literally saying I feel, using that several times a day. Okay, Kelly, I feel inspired by my new path ahead, and I also feel drained knowing I am about to reinvent my career again. Yes. That is really, really beautiful feminine energy right there. And this is such a practice, right? So when powerful feelings come up, or like strong feelings, or painful, discomfort, uncomfortable feelings, what we tend to do is try to numb them or ignore them. So we reach for alcohol or drugs, or we reach for the television, or trying to fix somebody else, trying to figure out what somebody else is thinking, what somebody else wants us to do or say. Obsession, checking on, we check Instagram, those are the things that we do when we feel our emotions. But the feminine practice is to feel the painful emotions. Just literally just sit there and feel them without numbing them. And, when somebody isn't doing what you want them to do, that can be a real trigger for me. Like, I want you to do this thing. Why don't you do this thing? And so instead, just sitting back and feeling them instead of trying to force or manipulate people into doing or life into doing what you want it to do, right? A lot of us in our masculine energy have become really good at kind of like manipulating life to do what we want it to do. And we think that it requires us to like charge forth and like manage and strategize and all that. But actually, it just requires us to get really clear on our emotions, get really clear on our desires, and then it will come to us what we desire. Yes, Kelly, feeling two different feelings at the same time. Yes, absolutely. That is so true, isn't it? So another way to get into the feeling is that vaginal breathing we were doing. So why don't we just take a moment to take a deep breath again into our vaginas, through our vaginas. So sit back and take a breath through your vagina and release. Another deep breath all the way into your vagina and release. Let's do one more deep breath all the way into the vagina and release. So you notice how that has you kind of like lean back and feel. It's so weird, but it totally works. And you can just keep doing that. Any time throughout the day it comes up. So let's talk about, I think it was Julie asking about whether the masculine or the feminine energy is submissive. And it absolutely is not submissive. And it's not quiet. And it's not, all these things that we're kind of told that it is. The feminine energy is powerful and magnetizes. So the feminine energy just has to do less to, oh yeah, Kate Northrup, she's so good at, okay, so the feminine energy, so if Kate Northrup came here and she has an interview that I recommend that everybody watch if you haven't watched it yet, in our Visiting Prophetess part of the website. And she wrote a book called Do Less. She's really good at teaching this stuff as well. And so I want you to picture this image in your head. And that is, and we know that the feminine energy and masculine energy are not gendered. So it's not about gender. But the image or metaphor we can use is that the sperm swims to the egg. The egg doesn't swim to the sperm, right? So you give off signals of what you desire. You can get yourself into the right vibration by doing the exercises and the practice, by clearing, by getting present to your fear and clearing away any that doesn't need to be there, feeling your feelings and harnessing them. That's how you raise your vibration. And then you magnetize what you desire. You bring it in, you let it swim to you like the sperm, right? So you're not having to go out there and chase and push and make things happen. You can allow it to come to you. Does this make sense? So if you're interested, you can still send off that email, you can still send off that signal or that text message to someone, but then you lean back and you allow. You let the sperm swim to you. Does this make sense? So the other thing we talked about is how the feminine energy has really strong boundaries. So and this is part of the egg wisdom that I don't know if Kate talked about this during our interview, but it's a concept her mother, Christiane Northrup, came up with called egg wisdom. And it's so cool. The egg decides which sperm are worthy of coming in. So for you can think about which opportunities are worthy of coming in here. So that's where where you get to say no. If there's an opportunity that's coming in that doesn't work for you, whether it's a relationship, a date, a partner, something with your business, something with your work coming into you, that if you get to decide whether it's worthy of your attention, and you get to say no if it's not worthy, not acceptable, if it doesn't work for you on any level, right? That is the egg wisdom. So you use the word no. And she turns away many, right? Turns away most opportunities to make room for the ones that are right. Yes, Kelly, allowing things that are resonant with the energy you are holding to come to you. Yes, and when you start doing that, from my experience, so I know that when I start saying no to that which does not work for me or does not resonate with me, I create a space for more of the good stuff to come in that I do want. It's not only do I create a space, but I'm literally sending a message to the universe. Don't bring me that stuff anymore. I don't want that. Bring me this new thing. Like, you see this one thing I chose, that's the only thing that I've been wanting, right? That's the only type of thing I want. So bring that to me. So what I want you to do is share what is the one area of life where you need to say no right now. Where's an area of life where you need to give a no? It could be with relationships, family relationships. It could be with your work, your business. What do you need to say no to right now? And so making that decision and moving toward, and allowing what you desire to come to you, that allows you to magnetize more of that. You don't have to manipulate. So I know for me, I am such I can get whatever I want. And I know that. I figured out that, and, but it doesn't always make me happy. So I need to shift that into, and also when I go out and chase it,
that is the element that doesn't make it happy for me, because it doesn't feel natural when it comes to me. I chased it. So if I put out the signal of what I want, then allow it to come to me, then it works. Yes. Okay, Melody, my impulsivity. What about something on the outside that you would, like if you imagine yourself as the egg and all the opportunities coming to you and the communications coming to you as sperms that you get to say no to if you want to, what would that be? What would that be? Okay, Megan, definitely need to say no with my family relationships. Yes, Kelly, family. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of this. Julie, I feel frustrated with my situation, but at the same time making progress and doing what I truly want. Yes, for some reason it's not letting me see the rest. Okay, cool, here it is. To do, saying no and making effort to be more choosy and putting up boundaries. The frustration becomes a catalyst to move forward. Yes. So choose one no. Choose one no. Mariah, business decisions that aren't aligned with my highest vision. Yes. So I would love for you all, like right now, to choose like one no thing that you're just going to say no to. And saying no requires some action. So usually you're going to have to send a message, you're going to have send an email, you're going to have to craft a text message or a conversation that you're going to have and practice it up. I mean, for me, saying no is not easy, especially because what I usually most need to say no to has a lot of emotional charge to it. And it means grief. So in order to say no, like in order to even be in the place where you can say no, you have to be in your feminine energy, right? So that feminine energy allows the grief to come up and allows the uncomfortable emotions, doesn't try to control them, manage them, suppress them, just feels them naturally and allows them to pass through her, cries, falls to her knees, whatever you need to do to allow the feelings to come up and pass through as you make the boundary, right? Or state the boundary. Okay, Megan, freelance work. Yep. So that sounds like an email that needs to be sent out. Mariah, family relationships. Now that sounds like a conversation. So I never go into these conversations willy-nilly. I'm always writing them out and scripting them, when I'm in a very spiritually aligned place. Because I know that when I'm in the situation, I might be triggered and into fear and not follow through. So if I write down the conversation in advance from that loving, compassionate place, literally sitting on my meditation cushion, having just meditated and prayed, that I'm going to be able to come up with some words that land and don't make people feel bad, that make people feel good and like we came to this together. Or like it's for everybody's best interest. And then I go and have that conversation, even though I'm shaking, right? Mariah, some family relationships, yes. Megan, men I date, yes. Melody, I don't really have enough opportunities to say no to. Oh, you do. And it might be, Melody, that it's, a family situation or something in your life that you're saying no to. And now I get why you went to impulsivity, because you're like, that's, an internal state that you're going to say no to. And I think that you should say no to impulsivity if it's not working for you. I think that could be harnessed, though, by the way, the impulsivity. Harnessed for your good, because the dark side, okay, so I just want to talk about impulsivity for a second, even though, the dark side of that is impulse, impulsive actions that are harmful. The positive side to impulsivity, if we look at the light, so that's the shadow, the light is intuition and making decisions from that place of flow. So Melody, I want you to embrace the impulsivity, not make it wrong, and continue to use the practice to move through. Like when I have a thing that I want to be impulsive about, that's usually a fear. So it's a fear sometimes. So just bring it to the fear exercise, expand beyond fear, and start to work through it that way and then make the decision. But eventually you're going to be able to align, and that impulsivity is going to turn into a laser sharp intuition where you're just going to be able to actually have a lot of velocity in your life. And because people who have to stop every time they're making a decision, there's no velocity. It's but you're going to be able to have a lot of velocity. That's actually one of your gifts, I believe, is going to be, I just got chills, is to have a lot of velocity once you get comfortable and trust yourself in the decisions that you're making. Julie, my client wanting to lower my day rate due to COVID. Oh yes, say no to that. You don't lower it. You only raise the rate.
Only ever raise your rates, folks. I mean, during COVID, you can choose to serve certain people with in certain ways, or you can make that decision. But yeah, that doesn't sound. I get you, Julie. I think that's right. Okay, Kelly, I've been grooming a software sales opportunity since the fall. It appears to be coming around. Why won't this thing open? I love it when I'm like reading your posts and then it just won't open. Okay, there it goes. It appears to be coming around. I know it's not aligned at all, but I'm struggling with saying no. Kelly, that sounds to me like a fear. So what's so cool, and this is where we like can kind of, we bring in all the different aspects of feminine energy. So we use language, number one. So I feel, so Kelly, like get into the feeling, like I feel what? And it's probably, I feel fear to say, I feel afraid to say no because I'm gonna lose money. Yeah. And, or I'm gonna quote unquote lose money. But once you say no to that, which is not aligned with you, you actually bring in more money, right? So that's the kind of trick that we play on ourselves. But if you can, I feel that feeling and then harness that feeling through the practice or whatever practice is really sharp for you. And then once you harness that feeling, then you can use that Christiane Northrup's egg wisdom to say no, picture yourself as the egg and you have different things coming at you all the time, whether it's random conversations on the street, whatever it is. Things are always coming to you and you can choose what to let in, right? You get to say no and then once again use your feminine energy to experience the grief of that and the chaos and I don't know what's going to happen. But that's that lean back and magnetize. So once you've said no, you're now in a really good state of magnetizing. And if you know that no comes from a place of faith, right? Like the place of like, this is not okay with me, so I'm going to say no to this. And you don't have to chase. The feminine energy doesn't chase because everything's coming to her. And the more that you can get into your feminine energy, the more you're going to see things come to you. So who was it who was saying that not enough things come to you, or you don't have enough opportunities to say no to? Try leaning back more. Try not chasing, but being available, getting clear on your desires, and then leaning back more, and relaxing. Kelly, I feel afraid to say no because of needing money. I also feel afraid of saying yes because I know it's not in alignment and know that will affect my ability to magnetize what I want to bring in. Yes, so really well said. So what do you feel, knowing that those two fears are there? What do you feel is the way forward that would be most in alignment with your feminine energy, Kelly? With that egg wisdom. And Kelly, I love the way that you're using this. So really, the work is to I feel, to get into that, to use that language around I feel. Today felt. And you're going to start, once you even start using I feel, and not just like I feel like it's become really popular for people to be like, I feel like I'm going to do this thing today. But really, like, what are you feeling? I feel good about that. I feel uneasy about that. I feel scared. And then you feel that and you allow. So it's a constant kind of like movement of feeling, moving toward what feels good, feeling better and better. I just got chills. Like you move toward what feels good and what feels good. And as you're moving toward it, you say no to that which is not feeling good. You move toward what feels expansive. And when the fear comes up, you harness the emotion. So we never have to tell ourselves that we're wrong for having it. We harness it through the work. So I imagine any emotion that I have, I need to bring it through. Not any emotion I have, but any uncomfortable emotion that has the potential to drive my behavior, I need to bring that through the practice. And once I do that, I've harnessed it, and then I'm empowered to say no to things. I'm not afraid anymore. Okay. So I want to ask you all. Oh, here's one. I guess my family's expectation. Well, while I'm doing this, I want to ask if you have any questions about anything I've just said. And this is like, I just want to say something else. This all sounds so simple. Like it almost sounds like, you know, the practice of it is where you get into the power. It is not an easy practice because it goes against everything that we're taught to like lean back. You think about everything in terms of like a relationship. You know how you were taught when you were young? I don't know if you were, but my grandfather would be like, never call a man, never call a guy. And like my mom would be like, don't call boys. And it just felt like control, honestly. So that's kind of like the shadow side, and not to say anything about them. They were just literally my mom's dad said not to call boys, and then my mom said the same thing. What do you know? The message was passed on. But what I want to say is that there's the positive, you know, that's like the shadow is like control, but the light side of this is seeing it as power, that I don't have to call. Like and it's not about boys. It's like I don't have to chase my life. I don't have to chase things because things come to me and then I get to go and have fun and move into them, right? Like I get to go get on, you know, once things open up, I get to get on that airplane and go on that trip because it feels good to me because look, oh, I had an idea in my head, I had a desire, and then suddenly stuff showed up and I can go to Bali on that trip. And I got I had a desire and then I leaned back and I didn't chase it. And, you know, suddenly like the clients randomly showed up who were just perfect for this because I said no to the other clients who weren't perfect for this. And and then a friend called me and said, hey, do you want to go to Bali? And it was like, oh, I was just thinking about that. And you start to get into that flow. So if your natural state is feminine energy, you will only be able to be in the flow if you're in feminine energy, right? So then all these things open up for you. And your life feels easy. And I was able to make, a decision about my life that was really, for most people would be considered a big decision with relative ease because I had gotten into that feminine energy state. So I didn't have to like overthink it. I just kind of was like, oh, okay, this is what we're going to do now. And we were doing that. And it was so simple. Okay. So Melody, I guess my family, so send any questions. I'm going to answer these and then I'm just going to keep encouraging you to practice it because it's so opposite of what we're conditioned to do. So if you imagine like your whole life you've been conditioned for masculine energy, but you feel that try it out and see if it feels natural for you to lean back into that feminine energy. And if it is, that's your true state. And it might take work. So if you've spent, 35, 40 or longer years in conditioned into this masculine energy state, it's going to feel really different to move into the feminine energy state. And it's like learning a new dance, Okay, Melody. I guess my family's expectations, they've always had a different vision for my life than mine, but I'm becoming more resistant to their meddling in my life. Yes. So here's the thing. The feminine energy has no sense of victimization from others, doesn't feel because the feminine energy has a no. And when you have a no, you never have to feel like somebody's victimizing you. You never have to feel like somebody is attacking you or, or rejecting you because you can't be rejected. It's just like, this is me. The feminine energy is very present, powerful, in her, like owning her. If you picture like a queen or a goddess, she's just completely being present with herself. So there's no need, nobody can meddle because you just say no, right? And you also kind of have that way of shifting the energy because the feminine is very in her spiritual powerhouse, right? So very intuitive. And it's not, again, this is a practice, so you don't have to be there yet. It's awkward at first, like it feels weird. It feels almost like, is this gonna work? Is this really gonna work? But it's going to. It's actually gonna work better for you than anything else. So yeah. Kelly, I feel okay about this if it's easeful because the income will help support my aligned path, but it feels forced if it's something I have to pursue vigorously. That would be painful because it's so far out of alignment. Yes. Feminine is so easeful, Kelly. You're right. It's so easeful. It's like, yeah, it's just like doing a lot less, and it's such a practice. Okay, so it doesn't sound like any of y'all have any more questions, but I would just encourage you to go through your life pretty methodically and see like, and kind of map out for yourself what would feminine energy look like in this situation. And like, kind of see like, what would it look like in this situation? So this is what you want to do. Like go through relationships and like, the way that if you're dating, if you have a business, and go through each area and say like, what would it look like to feel, relax, receive, lean back, surrender control with a no? What would it look like to be the egg and let the sperm swim to me and decide what gets to come in, right? And to not try to fix or anything like that, okay? To be in the feeling state. And again, remembering that vaginal breathing tool that you can always do, that gets me right into the feminine. So going through your life and really like envisioning what's this gonna look like for me, and then practicing it. So that's what I've had to put like, I'm being so transparent with you all today, but like literally I put like Post-it notes around my apartment to remind myself of feminine energy principles, like lean back, presence, like not chasing, you know, like that's literally what it looks like for me, is to when I'm making any change in my life, I have to like create everything around that change and like really like harness my energy toward changing it. So start the practice of the feminine energy principles. We can do more on this if you all are enjoying it, or if you are like wondering how to actually really bring it into different areas of life. This is kind of like an introduction to. And the main thing is, you know, if you're choosing, so if you're making a choice about how to respond or how to interact in a situation, take a deep breath all the way into your vagina. And release. And say like, what would it look like if I were relaxed? What would it look like if I were easeful? If everything was simple? And if I were true to myself and honest? And that's that power. Like, no. Yes and no. Yes, you may come in. No, you may not. Okay? All right, I love you all, and I shall see you very soon. And please feel free if you have more questions about this, or if you want to do a deeper dive into what this really looks like. Okay, cool, Megan, that's awesome. Yeah, so if you know, I want to hear from you. It's when I know what you all want me to teach on, I can come in and teach on that. So if you want to look at a certain area of life a little bit more, like literally what this looks like to play this out, very specifically in work, family, romance, whatever, I'm here to do that, because how we are anywhere is how we are everywhere. Obviously, this is about being fully self-expressed through every area of life. And so I'm happy to hit on anything. It's all really fun for me. Okay, my loves. Happy Thursday and happy weekend, and just lean back and let it come from you. Come to ya. Okay, so ask me, so I'm seeing that you all want more of this, but is there like, put in the comments any specific areas of life that you want to know about on this, okay? Or any specific topics that you'd want me to cover on the feminine energy principles. Remember, it's a practice. Don't stop. Keep doing it every day, and don't give up. I slip into masculine all the time. Even probably you saw it during this live. So keep practicing it. Love you guys. Mwah.